Welcome to the What's Our Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-host Mattson.
Better read than dead.
And Alec Burgess.
Let's get it.
We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead and hit that follow, subscribe, bell notification, like button, all those buttons. Go ahead and click those so you can keep up with our episodes. We do lives, we do pre-recorded stuff, but at least on Mondays you'll get an episode, sometimes Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays, sometimes Friday, depending on how much shit's going on. And right now there's a lot of stuff, so stick with us, hit those buttons. Today we are reviewing, Alec, tell us who requested this.
Yeah, who requested this?
This was a TikTok user, or
tell us who, tell us their name, their address, their phone number. I need all of these.
I'm not telling you that much. Where was it?
Need all these details.
Should have been prepared, but
no, that's okay. And while Alec's looking that up, I'll tell you, we are reviewing Little Shop of Horrors. It was released in 1986. Before you guys ask, I was 5 years old, so shut up. It was written by Howard Ashman. It was directed by Frank Oz. It's based on the 1960 screenplay and a film written by Roger Corman and Charles B. Griffith. It was also eventually made. This one was based on a musical version written by Howard Ashman. So, Before I get into the cast, you got it, Alec?
I got it. It was requested by TikTok user Undiscovered Bass.
Undiscovered Bass.
So thank you for the request, because this was a fun movie.
Are we thanking Undiscovered Bass one with a name like that? I want to know what that
we
name.
Are thanking.
We have to be careful, because if we're thanking for crappy movies, that might be my whole future moving forward.
I hate to say it for you, Mattson, but you're in the minority on this particular recording, my friend.
You guys are telling me you liked this movie?
Before we start,
we'll get
you're
into
telling
that,
me you liked this movie. Don't even go there. I might walk out of this podcast.
We'll talk about it.
Oh my gosh.
This movie stars Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops, Rick Moranis, Ellen Green, Vincent Gardenia, Steve Martin, Tykena Arnold, Michelle Weeks, Tisha Campbell, Jim Belushi, John Candy, and Christopher Guest, with a guest star of Bill Murray, because why not? With that, if you haven't seen this movie, Jesus,
what is wrong with you?
If you haven't seen this movie, do not watch this movie.
First of all, Alec, you can't say that because you've never seen this movie before. So,
I know. I'm part of the problem, JJ.
I know. If you want to avoid spoilers, now it's time to pause the podcast. Go
spoil
watch this movie.
what,
JJ?
Come
back, pick up where you left off. Yeah, because we're going to
spoil what?
All right, Mattson, get it out of your system. Let's hear what you got to say about Little Shop of Horrors.
Look, first off, we were supposed to record another movie that I didn't want, a Super Baby Geniuses 2. Thank goodness you can't even watch it, because you can't stream that stupid movie. This movie, unfortunately, happens to exist on a thing called HBO Max, which, man, oh man, I had no idea that the guy from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was inserted into just a dumpster fire of a movie. How in the world they got Bill Murray and Steve Martin to be a part of this little movie that had green credits or whatever? Like, what is going on here? This movie saddens me that it was a musical in someone's head, that someone dug up enough to say, let's make a movie about this that involves singing, that involves a woman that you want to strangle because she talks like she's 4 years old. I don't even know where to go. There's a plant that could talk that I was trying to ask myself, is this movie worse than She Dies Tomorrow? And it might just well be. But at the same time, She Dies Tomorrow was so bad that it's probably not. But this movie it pained through every scene, through every people trying to sing, the terrible set of this movie, the terrible plot, the acting was horrific, but I guess it was supposed to be. Just horrible movie. But if you want to drink some alcohol, maybe do some drugs while you're watching this, maybe it's great. But sitting on my couch trying to watch this with Taylor, I wanted to like just jab my eyes out. And I was going to say in my catchphrase today, it is not better to be red than dead. I would have rather have been dead.
Alec, what about you, buddy?
First of all, Mattson, his name is Rick Moranis.
Yeah, I always forget that he just looks like
Moranis.
he looks like a little weasel,
And he needs to be treasured.
Oh, he is a national treasure.
Exactly. He needs to be protected. Secondly, I don't think you realize how movies are made in the 80s. This is just straight 80s movie. And I knew it was
80s
going to
camp,
be
baby.
a banger when it starts off with a song.
Yeah, they also made good movies
Singing about
in the 80s.
Downtown and Skid Row. This was a good movie.
This was it. Don't
80s. You got Rick Moranis, you got Steve Martin, you have Bill Murray, who was probably just on set, and they're like, "Hey, you want to be in this movie?" He was like, "Yeah, what do I gotta do?"
Nothing.
Brilliant.
Oh,
Absolutely
shit.
brilliant.
So
I'm upset
funny.
because Oceana, she apparently tried to get me to watch this like a few years ago, and I said
really?
no because it had horror in the title. And a little fun fact about me: if a movie mentions something scary, and I have a choice to watch it, I'm not watching it. I'll pick something else. I was like, nope, Little Shop of Horrors sounds scary. No, thank you.
Did you get scared during the axe murder scene, Alec? Did you
No,
cringe?
because they were singing. It was so great. Suddenly Seymour.
Yeah, I mean, that song alone, well, for those of us that are older than 15 at the time, are understand, like somebody says Suddenly Seymour, they say the name Seymour, and I can't help but think Suddenly Seymour. That's the first thing I think of.
Well,
when I hear that
I
name.
never hear the word Seymour, and thank goodness, because I need no reminders to this movie.
That and just like the feed me Seymour. It's great. And what a great job that the old Four Tops wow, Levi Stubbs,
Levi,
man.
yeah.
Dude, so good as Audrey 2 or Tui. Love it.
Oh my god.
I enjoy the hell out of it. Look, this is a movie that I grew up watching. So, because at the time, so here, what happened was is they made a really dark version of this, and you can watch this on HBO too, Alec, if you want. But they made a really
scary.
No, it's like
Okay.
1960.
Okay.
Yeah, it's black and white. It's your kind of movie.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, I saw that other one. I was like, hard pass.
Yeah, so it's the original version of it is black and white. I think it was made, it might not even have been in the 1960s, but I think it was. Anyway, so they made this movie. It's a much darker version, and the play had a very different ending as well. But then somebody turned it into an off-Broadway musical, this movie, and that's when it kind of got its sillier vibe.
Keyword off Broadway. Very, very off Broadway.
One of the most popular musicals of its time at the time, which is why it got turned into a musical version of a movie. And then you just grab this cast. But like, that's the thing. When you think about this cast, they were all doing Saturday Night Live at the time. Like almost every single one of them. This was like one of the first Saturday Night Live gathered cast into one movie. And part of that was the director. So Frank Oz, if you don't know, is
Yoda.
the voice of Yoda. And so Frank Oz likes to do some of this. He likes to do the black comedy, dark themes, things like that. Like he does weird stuff. Like he did a lot with Fraggle Rock back in the day. A lot of Jim Henson stuff he was involved in. He did a lot of, so, I mean, and he's a pretty accomplished director on top of it. So he's done a lot of directing, and he did a lot of Saturday Night Live stuff in the 70s, which is how, again, he was able to get these guys. But like he directed Blues Brothers. He directed the terrible Superman 3. He directed Trading Places. Like he did a lot of this Saturday Night Live comedy, things like that. So my parents introduced me to this when I was a little younger, and I thought it was the greatest thing. I used to run around as a little kid singing Suddenly Seymour and screaming, "Feed me, Seymour." And like, I just thought it was the greatest. So This was very wax nostalgic for me. I was excited when we got the request. So
All right,
you,
JJ,
Mr. Bast.
stop making this movie sound better than it is.
It's great.
Great
It's
that
so much fun.
Yoda was the director. Well, he sucks at directing, and he should stay old and with a green little lightsaber. And this movie, people, it's terrible. But if you want an '80s movie that shows how bad the '80s were, thank goodness for JJ being born there and turning out to be okay. Watch this movie, I guess. But my goodness, it's terrible.
Remind me again, JJ, when was Terminator released?
The original one?
The first one?
In the 80s.
1984.
In the 80s.
Yeah, and I was going to say, there's good 80s movies. There's
And
Star
this is
Wars.
one of them.
There's Indiana Jones. There's Terminator. I mean, how many more? I should be able to give you a lot more 80s movies, but there's Back to the Future. Maybe that was in the 90s. I don't know if that was the 80s.
That was also 84.
Good.
84
was the greatest.
I just named 4 great movie franchises off the top of my head that were in the 80s that should be watched well before you even entertain this movie that says "Feed Me Seymour." Tell me, JJ,
say it right.
The chick, why was she talking like that? Why couldn't she? Because it was funny when she'd sang. Sometimes you could tell her like actual voice came out, and that was always confusing me. Why did they make her sound just so ditzy and dumb? I guess.
Well, it's because the whole movie's satire. Like it's and the whole play was satire. Like it's all about these people that are, well, first of all, it's about Skid Row, which is, if you know what Skid Row is like one of the worst places, period. And not because it's bad for it, but it's a terrible place. It's the homeless community in California. It's really, people say Skid Row, and if they know what Skid Row is, then they understand that you don't want to be there. So the fact that they're in Skid Row running a flower shop, and their biggest concern is getting people to come into a flower shop, like the whole thing's just this goofy satire on life at the time, and especially considering where they're at. But her voice is just meant to be annoying because it's this juxtaposition of, God, she's annoying as hell, but she's in this terrible position of being in an abusive relationship. Her boss, who takes care of her and treats her like a kid, still rails on her every single day. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's this constant, you're rooting for these people, but at the same time, they annoy you just a little bit. So it's for that comedic factor, or even that just make you a little uncomfortable factor is, man, why am I rooting for it? But then you find yourself rooting for Seymour while he's murdering this dentist and or trying to, and ends up, he doesn't actually kill anyone. He just either leads them to the wrong place at the right time, or he watches them die and then just cuts them up and feeds them.
And then just cuts them up.
Well, sure,
he
was already
not
dead.
Being wasteful.
Yeah.
He walked his boss into the giant plant. He knew he was going to get eaten.
Well, he had a thought, but he never knew. He was telling him, hey, you might want to turn around, bro. But he was scared because there's a gun pointed at his head.
At his face. I don't feel bad for the boss. Don't be pointing guns trying to trick your dumb employee.
Yeah, Mr. Mushnick.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I wanted him to get out of that really drab basement apartment he was living in underneath their shop. Goodness gracious. Felt bad for him.
Yeah.
Save on the rent.
Exactly.
The only good thing
off of Skid Row, Mattson, you got
the only good thing this movie had going for it, well, two things. Does it actually have a somewhat catchy song? Sure.
Songs.
Well,
there should be an S at the end.
The one it's most well known for is the Little Shop of Horrors jingle at the beginning, I'm sure. All right, I'll give it that. Clearly they did well enough there. And then that this movie was only an hour and 25 minutes. Thank you.
It's an hour and 25 minutes of pure entertainment.
Did I also enjoy Steve Martin's character, the dentist, jumping off his motorcycle and his bike stopping for him like that? I don't know what physics world he lives in, but that was pretty cool.
Come on, and John Candy with the donkey ass haircut doing the radio bit. That shit was hilarious.
WSKIDROW.
He's got all the fucking different props and shit. And he's like, hey, I got to pop my neck. And he does the little spinny thing. That shit made me laugh. John Candy is also a national treasure. Wait, except they're both Canadians.
Well, Canada needs to just sign them over to us. We'll take them.
That's fair.
They can take the Beebs back, and we will take Moranis and John Candy.
Yep.
It's a fair trade.
We did make them both famous.
That's right.
I mean, even Jim Belushi's little part at the end made me giggle, where he's trying to buy the plant and they're running him off because he's like, the thought of the
thousands.
Yeah, the worldwide takeover of the Audrey 2s. Like, oh god, shit was great.
So how did they make Audrey 2? Is that all puppets?
Yeah, I should have said the other good thing. Like, did a pretty good job with that overall.
I don't know if
because the rest of the set was very underwhelming and looked very much like we were on like a Broadway show. But the plant, like I was like, all right, respect. They did a pretty good job there.
Well, that was really cool. Was it Puppeteer or
looked like both?
I don't know. I should have done a little more research on that because I'm curious about it. But my guess is that it had that Jim Henson, the Henson Studios. I bet you they had something to do with it.
Because Frank Oz also puppets, right? Or he did.
Oh yeah, he does
puppet. I don't know if he's still.
He does a lot of the Muppet voices.
Yeah,
he's been involved in a lot of Jim Henson stuff in the past. Like tons. I have to think
because it's believable that you could tell they got a giant ass plant in the store with them.
Yeah, and the fact that his mouth looks as good as it does in a 1986 movie.
Yeah.
Like this is the kind of thing, like we were talking about this last week or a couple weeks ago in one of our episodes, and I don't remember which one it was, but the difference between practical effects and cinematic and the whole CGI shit, because they didn't have that kind of CGI back then. So there's no green screen. I'm sitting here looking at it. There's no digital or optical effects, green screen, CGI. So they built 6 different sizes of Audrey 2, 3 different scales of Mushnick's flower shop, so that would fit, and it would look smaller comparatively. So they had 3 different sizes of it, and they would allow them to work on different sizes of the plant at the same time.
That's genius.
Every time filming wrapped each day, the plants had to be scrubbed, patched, and repainted for the next day. So here you go. For the scenes involving the actors interacting with the big giant versions of Audrey 2, the frame rate was decreased to 12 and 16 frames per second. So the actors had to mouth their lines in slow motion, and then it was dubbed over. So because that slow frame rate makes it look less fake, because it can't catch all of the. So that's the big way that they made it look realistic, is they slowed the frame rate down.
I love practical effects.
Which is, and I think you couldn't have got that without someone like Frank Oz, who understands puppets and the limitations of what you're working with there, because that's a pretty ingenious thing. And that sucks for the actors. But when you think about it, it makes sense for the movement, because if your frame rates are high, you're going to catch all of the artificial, odd looking movements. Whereas in the movie, it looks really good. Him talking and singing. It flows
well, and the mouth matches up and everything.
Yeah. I'm sitting here looking. So to achieve the growth of the plant on screen after he does the song "Grow for Me," and he's feeding him the blood or whatever, they put the plant on a small dolly track that was hidden below that coffee pan flower pot. So when they called action, the plant was slowly pulled towards the camera on the track so that it appears that it was getting bigger. So that's how they did that one. Bill Murray improvised his entire.
I was going to say, I bet he did.
Yeah. The whole thing was ad-libbed.
That part was probably my favorite part. First of all, Sadistic Dentist was beautiful. Beautifully played.
Yes.
And then Bill Murray comes in. Yes.
Yep. I love it.
Dying. I was cracking up.
Yeah.
And Steve Martin throws him out. Get out. I'm going to tell all my friends about you. Seriously.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite parts of that whole thing. So yeah, there it is. There was also an alternate ending. So there was a director's cut.
Yeah, I was
released to this.
just reading about this alternate ending, and it's like the opposite of what Hollywood ever put out because everyone would hate it. You can tell our audience about it, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah, so Frank Oz wanted to release it. They filmed it. It was like 23 more minutes of footage.
What?
Yeah. And so
Thank goodness they didn't. But now you can actually watch it, it looks like.
yeah, you can. It's not on HBO Max anymore, but it used to be. I'm sure it'll come back at some point. But I guess they did screen tests like they do, and audiences hated it. And so they went back and refilmed the ending that you see now. So with Seymour and Audrey ending up in their little white picket fence home with the weird yard and the little Audrey 2 plant in the garden. So they end up there, but in the original ending, which is the way that the play ends, it's a version of the way that the play ends. So the play, it does not end the same way as this movie because audiences didn't like it in a movie form. So instead of Audrey saving Audrey, he gets her out of of Audrey 2's mouth, but she's wounded mortally, so she's dying, and asks Seymour to finish feeding her to the plant so that he can be famous. So he does, and then Audrey 2, he does get famous, and the plant starts to grow, and he realizes that when he's singing at the end and all the little versions of him pop up and are singing with him. So those versions, he finds out about them, and it grows across the planet, and it shows all the Audrey 2s like basically taking over the world. But it's Seymour ends up dying to Audrey 2. And in the play or in these movies, like the little ones open up and it's the faces of all the people that he's eaten are inside the plants. And so that's how you know that Seymour died, because the last one opens up and it's Seymour's face saying, "I'm sorry," or whatever. That's how the cop in the play in the original version found out that he was actually the killer. Because like Audrey 2 opens up his little versions and he sees all the faces of the people that are missing. So the cops find out.
Yeah, that's the weird part of this movie that's annoying is Seymour's boss is dead. The dentist is dead. And it's like, well, where are the cops at during any of this? They're just like, Skid Row, people die all the time. Not going to worry about it. But I don't know what a reputable dentist, to an extent, is doing living on Skid Row. Dentists make good money, but maybe he just blows it all on his motorcycle, or I don't know. He
doesn't live on Skid Row. Audrey lives on Skid Row.
Yeah.
It makes more sense, but yeah.
Yeah.
But that whole not bringing the cops into it, oh, my boss is dead, and Audrey never even asked about it, like, yeah, that was weird.
Well, if you were a cop, Mattson, would you want to go down to Skid Row?
Where people do die all the time.
Yeah, no. It's on the other side of the tracks, Mattson. You want
you don't think Audrey would have just asked, like, hey, why is our shop owner no longer here?
She wouldn't have cared. He was a dick to her. Yeah. All he did was ridicule her for having an abusive boyfriend instead of trying to help her get out of the situation.
I guess, but her answer was always, it's all I've ever known. He's the best boyfriend ever. I always want him around.
Relationships work.
I was going to say, not to make light of the situation, even though it is funny, it's true that there are plenty of women that actually, and men that are unfortunately in that same situation and say that same shit, just not quite as annoyingly high pitched.
But JJ, I just think you're the most attractive thing in this whole world.
And he supported her. He beat the shit out of her, but he still kept her in her place and things like that. So you do what you got to do in Skid Row.
Seymour, you're just my favorite person ever.
How can you say you don't like this movie, Mattson? You're perfectly cast as Audrey.
That's the problem.
You're great. I'm going to start sending out applications for you to be in this play, man.
Hysterical, man. When he's like got the dentist, when he's got Steve Martin wrapped up and he keeps bumping him into shit and dropping him down the stairs and stuff.
Oh, when
I laughed so hard.
He's dragging him like he weighs literally 5 pounds. I'm like, Taylor, what? This Steve Martin must be full of laughing gas and literally weighs nothing. Maybe that was their justification, because I was like, there's no way. little
Oh,
Seymour is moving this dude anywhere.
Shit was great. He's like running out. He just keeps smacking him into shit. Like, yeah.
The only believable part of this movie is back then they wouldn't have had cameras everywhere. So yeah, you could have done that, and yeah,
It's true. It's true. Well, on in Skid Row, nobody would have cared.
Yeah.
They probably would have helped you for the right couple of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this movie cracks my ass up. It's
The
so
gas isn't
funny.
for you; it's for me.
Yeah.
He did the laughing.
Well, and I love that he's got this like full-on contraption that like straps onto him with like permanent gas right there. It's
I like the
fucking
where
great.
he has the little one where he can just take puffs of it.
Yeah.
So great.
Yep. Yeah. I just thoroughly. It's just funny, and it's so
No,
weird that I just enjoyed it.
no.
Yeah, and I knew Mattson wouldn't like it. And
I
knew
loved
Alec
it.
would.
I knew Alec would, but I thought JJ would have some more sense in his life. But it's the nostalgia factor. It's another Bill and Ted principle here. It's just another crappy movie that JJ
That would have
grew up
been
watching.
awesome. You had Keanu Reeves in here. Maybe give
Dude.
Robin Williams a little cameo.
Well, that wouldn't have that would have
this would've
elevated
been
the movie.
perfect.
Could you imagine Robin Williams as Audrey 2?
Oh,
Dude, just nonstop rapid fire talking plant.
that would have been awesome. Or
There
have
were
him
some-
as the shop owner.
Oh yeah, it would have been
Mr.
good too.
Mushnick.
That would have been good too, Mr. Mushnick. What Vincent Gardenia? I don't know. The cast in this show is so unreal.
It would be hard to replace anybody with somebody
Yeah.
else.
It really is. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. All right.
I don't even have anything else to say to this. Just absolute sheer dumpster fire.
Dude, I don't like it blows my mind. Like, look, I get why you don't like a lot of movies, but like this one is just
It's entertaining. It is fun.
like it's so silly.
Mattson, you're doing that critic thing again.
No. Mainstream 2022 audience watches this. I guarantee you, I am in the majority. You are in the minority.
Well, it's got a 7.1 IMDb rating with
Yeah.
75,000 ratings.
We were all on crack.
Not that much crack.
Let's see.
I don't want Alec's glowing opinion. He talks to tigers that have it's a fake tiger. So it makes sense to me.
Okay,
JJ, I thought I had a little bit more clout with, but then I should have remembered the Bill and Ted principle. Should have remembered that.
We got a name
Dude.
for it.
It's got a 90% fresh Rotten Tomatoes score and an 80% audience score.
You are in the minority, Mattson.
No. How many of those people were born in the 80s is what I want to know.
Probably all of them, because
Right.
later you probably haven't seen it, like me or you.
Sure.
I'm telling our audience out there, apparently you should watch this movie, but I told you so when you're done and you're like, that was a stupid movie. But again, if you have friends and you want to drink and you want to do drugs, maybe don't do that part. Maybe
Don't
just smoke
encourage
marijuana.
people to do drugs.
Well, I'm just thinking of marijuana. If you want to smoke the reefer or something like that, this movie probably fits quite well into that. Or if you just, I don't know, you need to have someone that's going to laugh during this movie because that will help. And then you can just laugh at them because I didn't laugh one time during this movie.
Did Taylor hate it too?
We did not like this movie.
Fair enough. Well,
And
Casey
Taylor
refused to watch this
Taylor
movie, so-
likes stupid, funny movies like Starsky and Hutch, like all the ones with Will Ferrell and things like that, like just terribly stupid but somewhat funny-esque horrible movies. So yeah, like this movie, it's just like I want to watch like Three Amigos. Like that's a funny movie.
It's the same movie.
That's
Just
it's
another plant.
it's a terrible movie, but it's better than this movie.
No, I love Three Amigos. I think it's hysterical. But
You're not
I mean,
making a
it's
very
the same-
good point here, Mattson.
yeah,
I'm
it's
trying to
the
find
same
another movie
style
from
of
the
movie.
80s that fits like this similar profile that's better
There's
than
a
this
lot
movie.
of them.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few.
There's,
I mean, Rick Moranis starred in half of them. I mean,
like,
Spaceballs.
I'd rather watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, or Spaceballs is cringeworthy as well, but I'd still prefer it over this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Slightly.
I like them both. Spaceballs is a classic. Though I think Little Shop of Horrors is a classic too.
I
so.
just, no.
It's good, Mattson.
Let me rate this thing and be done with it. Put this thing to bed.
Yeah, let's wrap up. Great movie, and Mattson encourages you to do drugs.
I got so many choices for my intro today. I don't even know what to do. Oh, it's gonna be great. All right, Mattson, kick us off, buddy.
Look, I think I gave She Dies Tomorrow a 0. Oh, I'm sure I did. I'm struggling to what actually give this movie. It's not a 0. It's better than She Dies Tomorrow for sure. Is it a 1 or is it a 0.5? I'm gonna give it a 1. Man, I don't even. That feels high, but like, Rick Moranis and Steve Martin, and I will say Bill Murray. Like Bill Murray, Steve Martin scene, I knew it was gonna be good. There was nothing bad about that scene. Like that, those two clearly know how to act off each other, and I knew that scene without even knowing was totally improv, which I can appreciate. I think that was great. Like I love the part where he had the cotton things just come out of his mouth. I don't know how many times I had to shoot that to get it right, but that was funny. I didn't mind the dentist character, like it being over the top, and it was just, I was like, this is Steve Martin. Like, what does he feel about this movie? How the hell did they get him in this movie? But now I know, thanks to JJ, because of the Frank Oz connection and Saturday Night Live, this movie just felt random and like a very poor man's Broadway show that they brought to the movie screen that I just can't believe people enjoy watching, because there's so much other dumpster fires that are much more entertaining to me than this movie. I regret watching this movie. Undiscovered Bass, like, I hate you today. But thank you for your movie recommendation, but not thank you at the same time, because I know some other stupid thing is going to come from your fingers on TikTok that I'm going to have to watch. And I will find you one day somewhere in the heavens or hells, and I will let you know that I hated this movie. So it has a 1. I will never watch this movie again. I hope to never think of the theme song again. But if I do, Undiscovered Bass, I will be cursing out your name.
Fair enough. Alec.
I got my next 4 TikToks planned from that little spiel. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. This movie obviously would not be made today. Still think it deals with issues that are still very much relevant today.
They're talking about remaking it.
No.
And they have been. Now I don't know. I haven't kept up with where they're at with it or if they're still working on it. But at one point, they were in talks with Chris Evans to be in it at some point.
No.
Yeah, I swear to God.
No, because then everyone's going to go see this stupid movie because they want to see America's ass.
Sounds like a perfect reason to see this movie.
I'm telling you.
Okay, well, I'll take it back.
That just shows me Hollywood has nothing to make.
It's
desperate.
Actually, let me back off here and confirm, as of February of 2020, the remake is indeed in the works.
Dude.
It's going to be directed by Greg Berlanti so far. It's a Warner Brothers thing, so he's a big Warner Brothers guy. He does a lot of the TV shows that they have, but right now, Taron Egerton is leading the way for Seymour, whether that stays or not.
I'd go see that.
And then it's possible that Scarlett Johansson may be the next Audrey. And
I'd see
Chris Evans, if he gets cast, will be the dentist. Will be Orange.
Well, after seeing him in The Gray Man, he can play a little bit of a psychopath. So,
yeah,
dude, I am all for that.
Yeah,
So
and
I
then,
take back everything I said that this movie would not be made today.
yeah, I'm sure they'll change quite a few things, but Billy Porter's would be possibly the next Audrey 2 voice. So we'll see. And again, that was as of 2020. I don't know if it's still, but I haven't seen anything
That
to
says it's
show
not.
that exactly. There's nothing that's been delayed, obviously because of the pandemic. But from what I said, and Chris Evans recently did an interview where he brought it up, and that he's recently talked to the director Greg Berlanti, and that it wasn't dead, but it's currently on hold. So there's probably a good chance
Sweet.
this.
I will be campaigning. I'm going to be on the street corner later today.
I'll be campaigning with you, but for the exact opposite reason. Hello, pupper.
Awesome. Yeah, so I love this movie.
Yeah,
I can't
go
believe
ahead,
I
Matt.
hadn't seen it before. But holy smokes, this is a treasure. I really enjoyed it. I will be watching this movie again. Probably within the next week or two, because I did not watch it with Oceana. She was working, so she's mad at me.
The only thing that would have made this movie better for you, Alec, in your sick, twisted mind, is if it was in black and white.
No, that would have ruined the Audrey 2.
Yeah, the Audrey 2's color is pretty.
No, you gotta have that color.
Heard it here first, audience. Needed color. Let that be remembered, because I will be bringing that shiz up often.
Go for it. I got all my arguments. But
the
I'm
next
gonna
time
give
we watch a movie with a giant, colorful alien plant, then
Yeah.
it'll be relevant. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm gonna give it a 4. I'm gonna go 4.
What?
This was enjoyable. It was great. It's held up to the test of time with the practical effects, because I was sitting there just like amazed at what they were able to do with Audrey 2, with the set, and it was incredible. So it's definitely a 4. I will be watching it again, Mattson.
Are you kidding me? Because you know
No.
what movie we reviewed like a week or two ago that you gave a 3.5?
Was it Braveheart?
We're going to kick you off of this podcast. No, you gave Terminator a 3 Terminator 2 of all movies. What? Are you kidding me?
I would
Are
watch
you
this
kidding
movie
me right
before I
now?
watch Terminator
Our
2
listening audience, I want you to get on TikTok and I want you to braid this man's ass
Do it.
through the
Do
coals.
it. I dare you.
A 4? This movie is a 4? JJ, we are bringing a new co-host on because this is just some absolute dog shit right here. This is unforgivable. A 4? You have got to be kidding me. Terminator 2 is one of the best action movies out there, and you have the audacity to give Little Shop of Horrors a little-known 80s piece of shit. This movie, I am done. I am not watching anything else. JJ, I have retired. This is unforgivable.
Unforgivable, my butt.
You're just going for shock value right now, and I just want to let our audience know that we stand to actually properly rate movies. This is the worst. This is the worst rating we have ever given a movie from one of our co-hosts.
What?
Yes.
Oh God.
Unbelievable.
Ooh, one of you might have to host next week. I might die. That shit was hilarious.
I am genuinely upset with Alec. You bring on all the TikTok hate you can give me, Alec. I want our listeners to know that we need to recalibrate. We can turn this podcast into a whole hour for how upset I am right now. I thought we were done. I had nothing else to say, but I am riled up. I am pissed off. I am defending America. This movie is not a good movie. Just because they're going to remake it with little Chris Evans and his beautiful ass and Scarlett Johansson and her beautiful hair and eyes and body, that does not mean this movie gets a 4 because of what they're going to do. This movie in and of itself was absolute garbage.
This movie was going to be a 4 before I figured out that they were remaking
my goodness. JJ, just help me.
I'm not going to do you any favors. I hate to break it to you.
JJ, what are you about to give this movie? Just give me the number right now. I'm about to freak out.
I got to talk about it first. Cause
don't give it over frickin' Terminator. I will, so help me. I know where you live.
I don't even remember what I rated Terminator 2.
JJ, I'm coming to Utah in a couple of weeks, as you know, and I want a reunion to be exciting and not filled with tears and hate.
And I'll make you watch this on my giant TV, and then maybe you'll like it.
No, we won't, because the aspect ratio won't be the same anyways. Freaking Zack Snyder.
I love it. Okay. I enjoy this movie. And I'll be honest, I was not actually looking super forward to rewatch it. It's been 20 years since I've watched it.
Oh, jeez, I wonder why.
Well, just because
Because
it's
he's
hard.
been busy watching stuff like
Yeah.
Terminator 2.
Well, that and it's been hard to watch. This is an 86 movie. It's not like it's been on all sorts of streaming services, and thankfully Warner Brothers owns it, so now it's on HBO Max all the time. So I mean, it's been a long time since I've watched this movie, so I wasn't actually like woohoo gung ho, ready to go. Mattson and I had a couple of conversations where I was like, "You're gonna hate this movie. It's a little weird. It's goofy. It's funny, but you're gonna hate it." And I knew he was gonna hate it. But I remembered as a kid really enjoying it. But I went into it thinking I probably wasn't going to enjoy it as much as I did back then because I was a kid. I thought this movie was not going to hold up. But I was watching it last night, just enjoying the shit out of myself. Like I was having a great time. I enjoyed most of the music. I enjoyed Rick Moranis. To me, like one of my favorite movies of all time is another movie that Mattson would hate. But Strange Brew is one of the funniest movies ever made, in my opinion. And that movie, it was so nice to see Rick Moranis. I miss having the man on screen. It was sad when he retired years ago. I love Rick Moranis. I've loved him since Ghostbusters, so it's one of my favorites. I love Steve Martin. I love all of these guys. And so to me, the movie was funny. It holds up with the graphic or the effects too. I was watching it going, why is this so much better looking than half the movies we've reviewed in the last 2 years? Like, it's crazy to me. And then to learn that it was just about a frame rate, like being smart about how you do something and being creative, because that's what they had to do back then. Now we get lazy in movie making. And so it was really impressive for me to watch how good it looked for a 1986 movie and how the sets were good. And I love that they held to the fact that it was a play. For the most part, it looked like you were watching a stage play on TV, which I thought was really interesting and a cool way to go about it. So I just enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was clever. I thought it was silly. The music was entertaining. The acting was really funny for what it was, and it was meant to do that. So I've been waffling back and forth between a 3.5 and 4 the whole time I've been going. I'm going to give it a 3.5 because it is an 80s movie. It is a little silly. It is a niche type movie. You have to enjoy this type of silly comedy and this type of musical thing for it to be good. But I think for me and my recommendations, man, it's up there. It's a top-notch movie. I think it's way better than average. I think it's worth watching. I'm glad it's on HBO Max because I'm going to watch it more. If I'm ever in a shit mood, which I've been in a lot lately the last few weeks, this would bring me out of it. And I had a great time last night, laughing my ass off, getting texts from Casey going, "What the fuck are you watching?" It was great. So yeah, 3.5 for me.
Is so mad right now.
I know.
Guys, already done my chores for Saturday yesterday, so I have a whole day ahead of me. It's ruined. It's just ruined. Absolutely ruined. My co-hosts are just a bunch of dicks, giving this movie way higher than it deserves. Like, so help me, don't watch this movie. If you want to entertain yourself, there's so many other things out there that are funny, that make sense, that don't look like you're on the set of a Broadway show. But if that's your thing, and apparently some of you it's your thing, we're not friends. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, but we're still co-hosts. With that, thank you. What was his name again? I'm terrible.
Undiscovered Bass.
Undiscovered Bass. Thank you, sir. More recommendations, please.
Undiscovered Bass, I should be thanking you because you've shown me a gaping hole in our co-hosting this year at What's Our Verdict Reviews. I am appalled that
Gaping hole just because you review bomb everything.
Alec, I'm not as surprised. No, I feel like I hold a standard middle. I'm not surprised so much about Alec. Like, I could see how he could find his way into this. But the more I think about it, should I be surprised with JJ? Probably not. But I held JJ to an even higher standard, and I've had to lower it again. And that hurts. That hurts.
I'll build it back up again. I think you thought less of me after Bill and Ted too.
I did. I definitely
'Cause
did. And then we've gone past it because I haven't mentioned it until this podcast for quite some time. But Alec's right where he's been, and I'm not hurt by Alec. At
You're
least
all over here like riding a roller coaster.
ride a roller coaster. I like to. I rate movies that are good as good movies. This movie is not a good movie, and
And
I
I look
stand
at
by
it
that.
objectively. Great movie.
We
Real
keep
quick
this
though,
argument
JJ.
going. Yeah.
Undiscovered bass is actually female. So
Oh, sorry.
she, her.
Thank you,
Um,
she.
I wanted
Her.
to double check that.
That's my bad.
Thank you.
I'm
That
glad you
doesn't
checked.
change how I feel about her at all. Undiscovered bass. I had these words were for you. I'm sure you'll recommend something else that we'll watch. Maybe it'll be a little bit better. Maybe it'll be a little bit worse.
all of her recommendations.
But I
Here's-
will say
Here.
this
Here's
has
the
made
worst
for
part.
quite the podcast. I'll give you that.
I was just thinking it's probably not undiscovered bass either. It's probably undiscovered bass.
Probably.
Yeah, because that would make more sense. I was sitting there thinking, I wonder if she likes to fish, and then I'm like, oh, they're spelled the same. So
We probably just
yeah, we probably
yeah.
mutilated your username. So sorry about that.
They should
but
probably be the intro.
yeah, we
we
really
apologize.
appreciate you putting in a recommendation. Please do it again and again and again. If you liked this movie, or if you hated it and you want us to watch more movies that you hated, we'll take that.
Do
too.
it.
I don't-
This would be
we
great.
can start a whole stupid segment, but we do love our viewers, our listeners recommending stuff for us to watch. We wanted to show we're trying to do it. Charles, I
Yeah,
hope you're still listening. Baby Geniuses 2, like you literally can't watch it. It's so bad that you cannot watch it. Oh, don't tell me.
Put your
there's a
finger
found
We
down.
way.
have a used video store called Zia Records here in Phoenix area, Mesa. I think they have a copy of it.
okay. Go get a
I might
copy and
be
we'll
able
start a
to
mail
get
chain.
Copy of it.
Oh
If
my
I can
gosh.
find a fucking DVD player somewhere in my house, go
That
ahead and
sounds. That just tells me more than I needed to know. The fact, at least Little Shop of Horrors, HBO Max deemed it worthy to be on a streaming platform. Like, jeez.
I'm gonna go today. I'm gonna go today see if I can find this thing.
yeah. I found it in not so legal ways, but I didn't download it because I'm trying really hard not to be that guy anymore, as I was in my younger days. So, but that, and I needed an excuse not to watch it. But he literally, it's impossible to find it unless you go get a DVD. And I don't have any used DVD joints around me. So, Alec, if you get it, we start a mail chain. But Charles, know that I now have it on a watch list for when it comes available in streaming. So once it's there, Charles, we will watch it. I promise we'll do
So,
it. But
Charles,
if
you
you have
can-
other
you can-
recommendations,
Recommend something else, but please, let's review Toy Soldiers. That's a pretty terrible movie, but at least it's nostalgic. I quite like that one.
Oh, that means I'm gonna hate it.
it's pretty bad.
It's pretty dang bad.
Well, especially anyway, I won't go there in case somebody does recommend it. Yeah, there it is.
But I'm willing to admit it's bad. It's pretty
No,
bad.
it's pretty bad. This was great. I needed this episode like really
JJ,
bad lately.
we need to end this before I get riled up again.
I know.
I'm like an active volcano that, like, if someone says something, I'll get set off. Like, I'm not joking. I will probably think about this later today and send you both very mean texts.
And I can't wait. I can't wait for the TikToks that are coming from this whole. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure.
I might
that
have
Alec
to
has
start
access
my
to this
own.
video.
I might have to talk back to your tick.
Do it. I dare you.
Dude, I've never wanted to make a TikTok ever. I swore I wouldn't, but I might, depending on what happens with this deal. Anyway, with that, Mattson, tell everybody where else they can find us.
You want to find us, you know where to find us, but especially on TikTok, I encourage you, come watch these stupid videos that are about to get posted, because I, for one, am excited to see what Alec has the audacity to post about this horrifically dumb movie. So find us there. What's Our Verdict? If you want to come listen to us, y'all know where to find us. We're at What's Our Verdict Reviews, wherever good podcasts can be found. We got a lot of content dropping. Still doing Westworld. We're excited for Bullet Train that comes out pretty soon with Brad Pitt and a few others. She-Hulk starts soon. We've got the new Lord of the Rings that's dropping here in a few weeks. To name and there's a new Star Wars one that's coming out in like a month from now. The name escapes me.
It's less than a month. Yeah, it's the end of August.
Yeah, so we're starting to heat up again with some of those TV things. A lot of TV, as you guys know. There's not a lot of big movies that we're excited there. So we'll keep doing things you recommend to us. Please send those. We'll keep watching some older movies like Terminator 2, Braveheart, other things that we want to bring to your viewing and listening pleasure. Hit that follow, like, or subscribe button. And we appreciate you listening in. And undiscovered bass or bass, thank you for this horrifically terrible recommendation, but did it make for a good podcast? I hope it did.
I feel like I've thoroughly enjoyed myself this entire episode.
We broke JJ earlier. That was
dude,
funny.
I had tears streaming down my face. That was great. The two of you going at it, that shit was hilarious. I love getting Mattson worked up. So that it's been a while since we've had him that
It
cooked.
takes me. I feel like it takes a lot for me to get worked up, and I don't do it very often. But when I do, I go.
It's worth every penny. So there it is. We appreciate you guys tuning in, as always, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Send the magic out.
Whoa!